Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about rendering floor plans, and we're going to be starting with steps 1 and 2. This is the introduction video. There's a total of 7 videos and we're going to cover steps 1 through 11. If we take a look at what we're going over today, step 1 is going to be planning shadows and step 2 is a rough draft of your recipes. So let's get started. Some things to keep in mind as you're beginning are that your floor plan should be finalized and completed. At this point, there should be no further changes to make. Any design decisions should have been thought about and implemented. Because this plan is going to be rendered, we also need to take off notes, dimensions, room labels. We want that plan to be pretty clear and ready to go. By now you should have selected all of your materials and your recipes should be done, or you're just finishing those up and you've got a workspace that is ready to go. Okay, so the first step is going to be to plan the shadows. And this is something that happens at the beginning before we ever put any color markers onto the paper. An easy way to do this is to take a piece of vellum and just lay it on top of your printed floor plan. The floor plan doesn't necessarily have to be at scale, you just need to be able to look at your floor plan. I will generally start with a 30 or 40% gray marker. It doesn't really matter if it's warm gray, cool gray, or French gray. You can also use a yellow marker if you like. The whole point of doing the shadow map is for you to have an understanding of where the light sources are and what areas need to be left lighter and what areas need to be darker as you work through the rendering process. You can use your gray markers to add shadows around furniture, cabinets, walls, wherever you need them in this shadow map. And you want to keep this as a reference when you start rendering. You can put this on the wall next to your workspace or just have it handy so as you're working your way through the rendered floor plan, you can reference this. Okay, so here what we're looking at is a shadow map. Keep in mind that this is something that should only take about 5 minutes to complete. No one else will see this. This is not something that you turn in as part of your project. This is a planning tool for you. So if we take a look here, I've gone through and I'm just looking at areas like the window, where the light might be coming in, and what is the effect of that? Where are the shadows going to be? So anytime we have a light source, we also are going to have a shadow. So you want to just walk through each area of your plan and put in all of these shadows around your furniture, around your case goods. Pay attention to where the light is going to come into the window. So these areas that have a lot of light, we may have to go back at the end and with our white pencil add highlights. And the areas that are going to be darker, this will help us remember that we need to go in and increase the shadows in that particular area. Okay, now we're ready to go into step 2, which is a rough draft of your recipes. Now you may have already worked on some material recipes, but in the beginning you're generally looking for color matches. So this is a little bit different as we want to really see how you're going to be applying the color to the material. So we're always going to be thinking about 3 different values: light values, midtones, and darker values. Those are the values that are going to give depth to whatever it is that you're rendering. So for this, you either want to make larger samples of the color and material finishes, or you can actually do these recipes on vellum or marker paper, whatever you choose, right on top of a printed floor plan. So you want to make sure also that you're doing the recipes on the same paper that you're going to be rendering the final project on. Different papers have an effect on the color rendition, so it's really important that recipes are on the same paper you plan to render on. Whenever we start to work on recipes, I always suggest that you pay a lot of attention to the flooring. In a rendered floor plan, the floor is typically the largest area of color and the most difficult to make sure that you can get the color right and also implement that recipe into the floor plan. Okay, so now we're going to go on and look at some examples of recipes. Here we've got a recipe for a wood floor, and remember the object is to get the best match to your material using the least amount of markers and pencils. That'll make a recipe that's easy to replicate throughout your plans. So here, this is a wood floor, and this is what I mean when I say going beyond the color match. We need to know exactly how we would implement rendering the wood floor. So here I've started with my brick beige, overlaid that with sand to get just a little bit more of a deeper color. For the lines in my wood floor, I've used the dark brown Prismacolor pencil, and this is what we need to plan for as well. We need to know what shadow colors will be and what highlights will be, because remember, shadows are not gray. Shadows are a multiplication of whatever the material color is going to be. Right, so here I've selected what my shadow color is going to be, which is putty, and then utilizing a white pencil for the highlight. So if you take the time to do this, this is really going to help you. Just quickly, I wanted to show you some other examples of recipes. This is one for bar stools. So again, always thinking about three values: light, medium, and dark. I have a canary yellow. And I'm always going to do the lighter color as an overall color, and then I've come in with an orange for the darker areas, and then an orange pencil to even get that a little bit darker in the shadow areas, and then utilizing a white pencil. If we come over to the sofa, I'm utilizing a light cerulean blue mixed with an indigo blue. Now all of these recipes that you're seeing are done on marker paper. So the process is the same whether you're doing marker paper or vellum or trace paper. Just know that the ability to mix color will vary based on what the paper is. Any paper with a smoother tooth and it'll feel more slick to your hands is going to allow the ink to sit on top of the paper longer and give you more of an ability to mix. So keep in mind, if yours is not mixing exactly like you're seeing on the screen, it may be a paper difference, not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong with that. Again, three values: light cerulean blue, indigo blue. I'm mixing the two together to give a mid-range color. I'm using an indigo pencil to give me my darkest areas, and then a white pencil for the highlights. Down here I'm working on a leather chair finish, and don't forget your notes, because you'll forget after so long how you applied things. So if I'm using a lot of colors on my recipes, I will notate which one was first, what was second. So here I'm using the brick beige, the sienna as the darker color. I'm doing it just as I would do the leather chair. So you'll see it's different than the way I've done the recipe for the sofa and the bar stools, because a leather finish is a much more modeled kind of finish. White pen or white pencil is going to be my highlight color, and dark brown pencils for dark areas. This is going to be a seagrass rug, so working with cream and eggshell in the background, and just using cinnamon toast as a shadow color, and then brown pencil to give me some surface texture, and lastly some dining chairs. Again, you'll see the dark green with a celadon green. So celadon's my light value, dark green is my dark value, and in the middle when I mix them I get a mid-tone. And now I'm using a dark green pencil for shadow areas, and then a white pencil for highlight areas. Okay, so I hope this helps with your rough drafts. Don't forget to work on your shadow map before you start rendering. And the next video in this series will be step 3, transferring line work. Thanks for your time.